Thank you so much, PG, for the nice and informative roundup on what the year was. Our keynote speaker, our morning keynote speaker, really needs no introduction. Akhil Gupta, I think, is as old as the new telecom industry, the liberalized telecom industry has been in the country. He has moved from one role to another in the Bharti group. He's been there for more than 2 decades. And one thing which almost everybody agrees to is that he is behind most of the strategic decisions which are taken at the Bharti group level. So once again, a very warm welcome to our first keynote speaker of the day, Mr. Akhil Gupta. A big hand for Mr. Akhil Gupta.
Well, first of all, congratulations and compliments to the entire voice and data team, very ably led by PG, my very dear friend, and Ibrahim. I think this annual conference, this forum which you organize for the entire telecom industry is something which is becoming a very premier occasion for all professionals in the industry to come together and, as PG said, put the heads together, look at what is needed, prepare a roadmap, and try and move forward. Also, sincere thanks for having me here to interact with all my colleagues. Obviously, for the time that I've been in this industry, these are all very dear friends, so thank you very much for having me here. I think we all know telecom is an industry which is complex. It's also difficult, and you could not have chosen a better time because it just got a little more difficult after the recent auctions. You have asked me to speak about what the future CEO of a telecom company would look like, or perhaps share based on the past experience, if that has any meaning, of what he should be doing. So let me attempt that, but before I do that, let me take a stock of where the facts about the telecom industry as we stand today are. I would say in today's world, perhaps after all the industries which are related to internet, the online, the OTT, whatever content, whatever name you may call it, anything which is online, after that, telecom is perhaps the most dynamic and the most evolving industry. And that's strange for an industry which has been around for so long, that it's still evolving, it's still so dynamic. I think it used to be simply the means to communicate. I think it's very quickly, as you all know, becoming a means to satisfy virtually every human need, whether it's healthcare, whether it's education, whether it's information, entertainment, astrology, I mean, anything which a human being needs, perhaps this will be an industry which will be the means to deliver that. As we all know, changing technologies is an advantage, also a big problem. We had 2G, then we had GPRS, then Edge, then 3G, then 4G, and if Barcelona is to be believed, we are already talking of 5G. I think it's a matter of a few years that we really would have 5G, and since the counting goes on forever, I don't think it's going to stop at 5. We'll have many, many more versions over the years. As if that's not enough, it's not yet just that the changing technologies face us. It's also that, you know, we used to have, if you remember, very simple spectrum-based technologies. 800 was for CDMA, 900 was 2G, 1800 was 2G, 2100 was 3G, 2300 was LTE, and so on. But as we stand today, in addition to changing technologies, that has become even more complex. 800 is now for CDMA, which may not be there for too long, but it's also for FDLT. Then you have 900 for 2G, which I think will be there for quite some time, though not permanently. It's also, and it's becoming more and more important, for 3G. Then you have 1800, which is not only for 2G, which is now for FDLT. And then you have 2100. Thank God for the time being, it's purely for 3G. 2300 for TDLT this time, not FDLT, and so on. So the whole combination makes it really complex. device, PG talked about the devices. I think it's an unprecedented, unimaginable evolution on the device side. And I'm sure I read Sanjay Kapoor, my very dear friend, Chairman Micromax, will speak to you about that. It's a very, very fast-moving, fast-paced device evolution. The telcos today, and everybody who runs a telco, is very clearly mentally torn between whether it should be a telco, whether it should be an OTT. Telcos, because there is a model, there is a revenue model. OTT, because there is valuation. And every telecom CEO of the world, at least I come across and I know, is mentally torn between this dilemma, whether we should be a content provider or what is popularly known, should we be a dump pipe provider. You know, this is an industry which needs huge capital, 100,000 plus crores, it's actually 109,000 crores, but that's the nature of the industry. 9,000 crore is a rounding of error, so we don't even bother about that. A huge capital requirement. Poor returns. In fact, I was just talking to Pramod before this session began. I said it's true that this industry has given all of us a stature. We have grown in size, grown across 20 countries as Bharti Group. But the fact is, many a times I want to hang my head in shame at the real poor returns we have brought to our shareholders. The return on capital employed and the return on equity is nothing short of being extremely poor. So, if you look at all this, there's seemingly too many moving parts, and there's seemingly too many different angles, there's too many contradictions which completely look irreconcilable. So at first glance, what thought comes to my mind when I talk of the future CEO of a telecom company is that only two people can perhaps qualify for it. Either he has to be a demigod to juggle with all this, or at least a Superman, because it's not normal for anybody to really handle all this. But then let's look closely, because obviously it's an exciting industry, no need to despair. If we really look objectively and closely, the fact remains, nothing has changed. All these elements in telecom have been around at least for the last 20 years since I came into telecom in 1994. Each one of these complexities and challenges have been around. Technological, financial, operating challenges, regulatory challenges, each one has been around. Degrees may change, the forms may change. So it's like, you know, we have just had, unfortunately, a bad result yesterday, but it's cricket season, it will be further cricket. Taking an analogy from cricket, the whole format has changed. You had test matches, now you have 50 over match, 20 over match, there could be 10 over match, and so on and so forth. But some basics remain absolutely the same. Those of us who have played cricket, you know, even today, if you don't want to scoop a catch, you will have to bring your bat and pad together. If you want to drive, you will have to stretch your left foot forward and take it to the pitch of the ball. The bowlers will have to adopt an action for outswingers and in-swingers and leg breaks and off breaks and googlies. So some things don't change. In any industry, in any sport, they don't change. Same is for telecom. I personally believe that while we can make it very complicated, there are some things which will not change. The CEO of a telecom company, if can stick to some basic things, my feeling is the challenges which are facing him will be met easily. And these are some of those basics which have been around for a long time and perhaps will be there. So let me take the liberty of pointing out what I could list 9 such basic fundamental things. The first is, I think every CEO has got to have a very clear business model and a business delivery model. It needs to be clear what business he is in. Is he into a mass product or a niche product? Is he into content? Is he into a pipe business? Which means the telco versus OTT debate he must settle in his mind. He should also settle a very clear revenue model and then decide all the activities which need to be done. Will you do it in-house? Will you partner with the others? Therefore, the fundamental building block to my mind for any CEO of past, present or future is a clarity on the business model and the business delivery model. The second important piece is the organization structure that you build. We are all going to deal with highly scaled up businesses, opportunities to scale up further, therefore organization structures become vital. And it is important that the organization structure follows the business model that you decide and the business delivery model that you decide. The second golden rule there, to my mind, is that people and individuals must fit into an organization structure, not the other way around. I think all of us can be accused of this folly that from time to time we try to build an organization structure around a particular individual, which I think is a complete disaster. You will have to empower and decentralize. For a very simple reason, it's otherwise just not possible to manage big business. And that also means allow some risk taking in the hands of managers. I think one fundamental thing which CEOs will have to do is give opportunities to their leaders to grow. Because if you don't give them opportunities to grow, they will never be engaged. The third piece which comes to my mind is the understanding of technology, and that of course includes network technology and IT technology. And my message to the future CEOs from my past experiences, please try and understand technology only to the extent that you can apply it commercially. And I say it deliberately. I think the moment a CEO tries to become a technologist, I think it's disaster. He has got to make sure that the technology in front of him, whether it's IT or networks, how can he apply it for fulfillment of the business model and the objectives that he has set for himself. Let me give you a little example. You know, in telecom industry, all of us know, our biggest problem is always capacity, especially in a country like India, where, believe me or not, spectrum is scarce. It's certainly scarce. I think it's believed that it's not scarce, but it is scarce. And therefore, if you adopt a mass model, you sure keep running into capacity problems. A CEO has got to understand as to how, and when is the capacity problem? Only in peak hours. Therefore, a CEO has got to understand what technology can he deploy to get over that. Therefore, first came AMR, then came half rate, now is quarter rate. Now, these are some of the things, and there will be, of course, similar things on the data side, because on data side, for instance, he'll have to understand that in absolute peak hours to accommodate more simultaneous users, maybe the speed given to a customer will need to go down a little bit. So some of these things, if a CEO can understand and connect the dots of technology to what the commercial aspects of business are. And I've always told my people, look, I'm a chartered accountant by qualification. I don't understand physics. And I've seriously never tried to figure out as to why there is cellular technology. What are the principles of physics? Because whatever I may try, I'll never understand. But I do understand as to how we can take advantage of maximum coverage, maximum capacity, at least capex. I think if you can, a CEO can try and do that. Firstly, he will not get bogged down with technology. He'll be able to